Hey guys, Banana Pancake here. Just wanted to make a video on this quiver. I had a few requests to make one on the functionality of it, so I thought I would take some people up on that. This is like the third video I've made of this. I feel bad for all my motorcycle guys and that sort of thing. I haven't done something like that in a while. It's cold outside, but since I have made that video on that bobber, we've actually probably made about 8 of them. And some of them have taken some awards, so I will get some videos this springtime on that. But let's do this one first. Anyway, guys, let's just go over the simple fact that this is a plains quiver. Okay, and like I was saying in some of my other videos, this was pretty much used all over the plains. The Comanches used it, the Crow, the Lakotas, the Cheyenne. The functionality of it was mainly used on horseback. At the height of a lot of nations, they were using horses. And so I don't have a horse, but I'm going to show you some things that I know and some experience that I've had with it. And some things that kind of seem that that's, well, just the way it would be, probably. Anyway, let's get started. So, first of all, I got to let you know that well, let me just say this. I work in the wood salvage business, and there's no way that I would wear a suit to work. That's pretty obvious, isn't it? I mean, you don't want to tear it up and get it dirty. I wear grubbies to work because I'm okay with getting grease on them, hydraulic fluid, or whatever. And so something like this would probably not be used on a day-to-day basis, because if you look at it, this sort of thing is adorned with beads. It's got wool on it, otter fur. It may not seem like a lot to us to this day and age, but back then it meant something. It meant prestige. Okay, beads cost money, wool costs money. Okay, you don't want to ruin these sorts of things. So a quiver that looks like this would probably be taken on a war party. It would be taken to a council meeting with a different nation, that sort. To kind of show off who you are and what you've done, the more prestigious side of you. Okay, so putting this quiver on, don't underestimate the fact that you would just swing it on. Now you have to understand when I'm talking back in the 19th century. Okay, natives believe that your hair is an extension of your spirituality and who you are and what you've done. So when you go on a war party, you'd want to show off some of those heroic deeds that you've done by adorning your hair with feathers and of that sort of nature. And it seems kind of funny today because you're like, oh, don't mess up my hair, kind of thing, you know. But back then it meant something to them, and they wouldn't want to mess it up, you know, because it was something of pride, something to show off. And so they wouldn't just sling it up over their head if they were going to a war party. Now, if they were going out hunting on a weekday or whatever, I'm pretty sure they probably would. It's the easiest way to do it. That's how I do it. Okay? But when your hair's all adorned with ornaments and feathers, and you know, and you've had your spouse do this, your hair all up for you, it looks really nice, and you want to keep it that way. Well, then, accounts that I've read about, what they would do is they just step through it, just like this. Okay? I'm going to pull the bow up. There you have it. Your hair's fine. And you sit down. I know it sounds really funny. Your hair's fine, but that's kind of how it was. Okay. So now that it's on your back, typically you would mount up onto some kind of steed or horse or pony. I can't afford to have a horse in my living room. I can't afford to have a horse anyway. They're pretty expensive. But if you do have a horse, try some of these techniques out. They might work for you. You might see how they're applicable horse riding, I guess. Anyway, but I do have a trusty dining room chair, so we're going to use that. And try to keep in mind as I'm explaining this, a real horse, the difference between that and a chair is the fact that a horse actually moves underneath you. And it sways. Keep in mind at 30 miles an hour, a horse is going to be dodging badger holes, it's going to be jumping over ravines, it's going to be dodging buffalo, other warriors, that sort of thing. So you can see, as a sole occupation, these natives were very good at being able to use a bow and a horse, and they got really efficient at it. That's all they did for 10 hours a day. So if you had 10 hours a day to do this, I'm sure you'd get good at it too. So anyway, So being on a horse, I know some of this stuff seems obvious, but let's just get through it, okay? You typically bring up the quiver like this, take your left hand on the bottom, the right hand on the bow, and then you do this sort of a motion to pull them apart, okay? But as you're pulling them apart, now this is something I read about, and it makes sense of some pictures that I've seen, okay? You pull the bow out, and as you're doing it, you swing the quiver around in front of you, okay? Probably ask yourself, why would you do that? Well, if you think about it, now you have everything where you need to. Okay, you got your quiver right on your lap, right? And keep in mind, you're steering your horse with your knees and that sort of thing. The natives were very good at doing that sort of thing. They were excellent horse riders. I don't know the name for that. Anyway, but okay, so now we got the bow out of our hands. Okay, we want to string it up. Okay, another count that I read. Okay, if you have a horse, you should try this. I would if I did. Okay, so you take the bow, and I put the bow in the back. Now I'm not going to string this bow up. I just made this bow, and I'm a week into the drying process of the sinew on top, so I don't dare to start bending until at least another week. So just kind of imagine this. Okay, they would take the bow, they'd lift their leg up, and they'd use the horse's back as kind of a fulcrum, and they would push into it with their weight, and they were able to string the bow up with this fashion. Okay, and that's how they'd string the bow up. Okay, now that they've got the bow all situated, they can take their left hand and pull some arrows out. And now they got the arrows in their hand right here. Okay, everything's nice and close, right around them. The shortest movements possible. Okay, so you might ask, why do they have to put them in their left hand? There's a lot of pictures out there. You don't have to look very far online to see that a lot of natives put the arrows in their hands. Now I've seen some pictures with the feathers up, and I've seen some pictures with the feathers down and the tips up. Okay, I think it varied towards the individual. I'm sure as they were growing up, some fathers taught them how to shoot their bows, and maybe it didn't work for them. Everybody's got a different technique and things that work for each individual. So anyway, but we have the bow strung up, okay? And the arrows are typically held in the hand with the bow because they're easy to raise up and shoot, okay? Shoot. You should go through a whole list of arrows just doing this, okay? And once you're done, once the hunt is done and you're out of arrows or the war party's finished and and you kind of beat up your foes or whatever, okay? And then obviously your horse is stopped. You might jump off. Okay, now you're on the ground, so you just, obviously, you probably just swing this up around, okay? Draw the bow case up to your shoulder. This is what I do and works best for me. And then I don't know if you guys can see this, but I'll kind of get down. And then you just take the bow, just put it in the quiver like that. And then you're ready to go. So if you're on a war party and you get done, you can just take the bow, just drop it down, step through it. Just like that. And you collect your arrows, of course, and everything. So anyway, these are accounts of everything that I've read about. It seems practicable. Anyway, I think if you've got a horse, you should try it. I know that I would. But I'm going to get ready to take this bow out on the deer hunt this summer, and we're going to give it a shot. Anyway, I've also been asked by another person named Growling Bear to do a video on shooting it. I did this video. He also kind of asked me the functionality of it, so it's kind of a part 1 and 2. I'm going to get out there in the springtime, probably with this bow when it gets a little bit more seasoned, and go out there and shoot it. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Talk